Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. It's been kind of like a busy day, but no rest for the wicked, they say, right?
That's correct. I know.
Oh, we gotta stop meeting like this. I mean,
I know. We're like, this is our second podcast of the day, isn't it? We're like
know.
firing them out today.
Vacation's coming up soon, so hey.
Gotta
that'd be
cram
nice.
everybody in.
Well, we'd be working on vacation too, though. So,
Yeah.
life of a podcasters, I guess, right?
Exactly. Precisely.
Who do we have today?
Well, we have Karen A. Dahlman, and she is an author, paranormal researcher, and spirit communicator who explores the intersection of consciousness, creativity, and spirit communication. She's a retired licensed professional counselor and a retired board certified and registered art therapist. That's really interesting. Karen serves as an officer and director of the Talking Board Historical Society and has been exploring spirit communication and consciousness for decades. Karen has worked with the Ouija board since 1973 with remarkable results. So I can't wait to hear more about these wonderful results in the Ouija board and how she uses it.
I know, me too. One of my favorite topics. So I guess we're better bring her up then.
That's right. Welcome, Karen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, ladies. This will be a great show. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because I'm a Ouija board person. I know everybody around me, when I say that, they kind of like, ew, get scared. But, I think they are going to learn a lot today from you. So, what I have to say first is, what is your take on the Ouija board? Because you've been doing it for so many years. I mean, do you think it's safe for everybody to do?
Well, so we're going to open a big can of worms here, as you guys probably can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the Ouija board is just a tool. So when people say, "Oh, is it safe?" I say, "Are you safe? How do you feel about yourself in consciousness? How do you feel about yourself as a channeler? How do you feel about yourself as being intuitive and using those abilities?" And so we can jump right in there or start from the beginning, because I'm like you, Chrissy. People say, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I love the Ouija board." You guys, I have a lot of them, like 85 around my house. My fellow collectors have hundreds in their homes.
Oh.
No issues. None of us had any issues. We just really appreciate them so much. And I use mine a lot. I use mine all the time. I think we have to really open this up to a whole conversation about channeling, because when I use the board, I don't consider the board doing anything. I consider it myself reaching into these other energies of consciousness, sentience, and being able to bring it forward through I like to call it the theatrics of the board. Although I'm not pushing it or faking it, the energy's coming through and it's moving and pulling, and I follow it. But I find that the more I've worked over the years on my own abilities to be intuitive, empathic, sensitive, clairaudient, clairvoyant, all those clairsenses, vice versa, all my channeling abilities got better. And so do I think it's safe? I think it's safe when it's used in the right light, literally the right light. And with the attitude of it's a tool and I'm the operator. Is the operator safe, and is the operator ready to use this tool? Just like are guns safe? Well, guns are only safe, they're a tool. They're only safe if somebody uses them correctly. Is the car safe? Well, only if you drive correctly. And, follow the rules of the road. So yeah, this is how I see it. I see it as a very neutral device. And like I said, I have them all over the house. Nothing ever negative, bad has happened to me. It's been very positive. But then again, that's because of my own stance about the board. Yeah.
Yes.
I see you lady shaking your head. I love it. I want to hear what you think about that.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely, because when I taught my kids how to do the proper way and everything. I like using it because I do get a lot of answers and stuff. It's fun. Well, I should say it's fun and educational. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I do get in hold of ancestors. That is my favorite. Friends that recently deceased, and I get answers about the afterlife. So, like you said, it is a good tool. And my kids when they use it, they use it in respect.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask silly questions, and stuff, and it's like, no, to me, well, especially my son, he's like, because he does it a lot more than I do now, and he always tells his friends that don't disrespect my board. And one thing I want to ask you that my son is like, oh, he's so excited that you was coming on today, but he's a RT in the university, so of course he can't be
watching. Old son. These are old kids.
Oh yeah, I'm 60, so yeah.
Okay. I understand.
But no, somebody came to him, probably 5-6 years ago, and said that they was using the Ouija board, and they came across the Ouija board demon, is what they call it. Solo, something like that. Yeah, so. And he said, my son said that because they met each other after this happened to his friend, and he was saying, my life just went to crap after that. And I just had to burn my board and stuff. That's what he said. And my son is just like, I'm sure there's a way you could have done that a lot better and everything. And my son asked him, is your life still, crap? And he's like, yes. So is there any advice from you if somebody was in that situation and came to you? What would you tell them?
Well, they do come to me and ask me this question all the time, and I've heard so many stories like this. So first I would say, don't burn your boards. You can send them to the Talking Board Historical Society. We take those boards and repurpose them. I'll take your boards. I've been given a lot of boards over the years, and then we do take them at the Talking Board Historical Society. So this is what I would say. Gosh, I've heard this story so many times. When I'm on Coast to Coast, George Norrie tells a very similar story, how one of his producers got the board, his life went to crap. And I said, well, maybe his life was meant to fall apart somewhat so you could have a clean start and start over. We give too much power to this inanimate object instead of giving it to ourselves. So I would say when something like that happens, you feel like you want to quickly blame the lowest hanging fruit. And in this case, because the Ouija board has such a negative connotation, it's easy to go, oh, I had a Ouija board in my closet that was in my house for 20 years. I forgot it was there, but oh my God, all hell broke loose with the Ouija board. You know what? Life happens. Stuff happens. and it's
Mhm.
going to happen regardless of a Ouija board or not.
Right.
So I say if you have that belief and it's really in your mind that that's the cause of it, then I'd say, maybe this tool's not for you, and maybe doing any kind of channeling work in the other dimensions is not for you. I'm all here for the living and to support your life and have the best life you can and a happy, successful life. Again, things are going to happen, but how do you recover from it? So I would, first of all, take the Ouija board out of the picture and talk about what they can do for themselves to go in a new direction. I mean, that's the therapist in me. I always call this, the work I do on the board, Ouija therapy, tongue in cheek, because it is so therapeutic. And even when I talk about it, it's just so therapeutic to me because it can be used as such a, like you were saying earlier, Christy, for fun and entertainment and learning and exploring, but it also could do amazing things in your life where you can actually become more empowered. We could talk about that because that's the whole level I go with this. I'd really help a person empower themselves first. And then if they want to come back to the tool to use it, use it. But if not, it's not for you.
Mhm.
Thank you. That's what I would have said too as well. But it's nice coming from you because I know you probably know a lot more than I do.
I just been using it a long time. Add up the years.
So I think the next thing is let's just have you go ahead and talk about, the Ouija board, spirit communication. Let's hear from you about what you do and how you do it and
For
any
sure.
advice and
Boy, now we will talk for 2 or 3 hours.
Perfect.
You guys, to the audience, I spoke to them earlier before we started the show, and they're used to me talking. They said you could talk several hours. You guys know that. Follow me. I can talk hours on this topic, just alone. So you did ask a lot. Let's start here. I would love to talk a little bit about the history of it, if I may. It is a tool that came out of the United States. About 1886 is when we first saw it appear on the market. And it was patented then as a witch board. It was not a Ouija board. Some other group was making it as a witch board. And we know about this because we have the old magazines, the old articles, the old newsprint that talked about this idea of this concept of this board, talking board, working and spreading its way through spiritualist camps in Ohio. And then we also know a company on the East Coast sent one to one of the presidents, President Grover Cleveland, as a wedding gift. And he wrote back and said, I really appreciate your ingenuity to this item, but I hardly think I will foresee and foretell the future of the country, the history of our country with this tool. But thank you. So we do know he received it, and that was in 1886. Now, it wasn't until 1890 when some businessmen and one woman named Miss Helen Peters, and she became really prominent to us, the Talking Board Historical Society, because she was really lost in history until more recently. In the last maybe 15 years, 20 years, we didn't know much about her. She was actually one of the founding members of the Ouija board. So, and it is pronounced Ouija phonetically, because back in the day when they sold the planchette in the box, the board with the box, it actually said, pronounce it Ouija. They gave the phonetic spelling.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting. So, but because we all say Ouija now, you'll hear me say more Ouija than Ouija. You can say it. It's become popular in vernacular. Popular was just the way we speak now, so it's fine to say both ways. So this group of businessmen and one woman got together and saw this wave of making money, and they created their own contraption. And I have a few behind me right here, and this one right here, this, if you can see it behind me, this one, the red one, it actually was more white. The varnish and stuff had changed the color of it, and it's from 1892. I have a couple that are from 1892. The oldest one as a Ouija is in 1890, and that's when they actually patented and trademarked it and received it in 1891. So this one's pretty old. I have two that are old like that.
Wow.
So I just wanted to bring that up because it's kind of, I'll tell you what, to understand this tool, I always feel like you should know a little bit about the history and how it was used and why it was used. Because it talks about a piece of Americana that is just incredible, because not only were these tools created and mass produced to make money, it was a business decision for these people. it was really, that's what they used it for. But it was a spiritualist community that snatched it up. And they found a way now to communicate more directly, if you will, with the other dimension. That back then they were mostly talking to the deceased. There were a few people that spearheaded, were ahead of their time. We're talking to now ethereal beings, and maybe talking to spirit guides. But most of them, they refer to them being as deceased people. So that's kind of a neat history there too. And the board itself has gone through so many different transitions of how it looks, to how it was made, the size of it. And that's cool in itself. But even how the symbolism on the quarter of the boards that we see now as the moon and sun, it was not that originally. It was a full moon and a crescent moon. And then it started changing. So it's kind of cool. You see the symbolism. And I talk about a lot of that in my books, especially the spirit of alchemy, because there's a lot of alchemical stuff happening on this board. And it turns out the people that founded it, some of those men were actually Freemasons. So you can see some of the symbolism pop up. So that's one of the reasons why I like it, and I got really attracted to it. But the reason why I first started using it, though, was I had some friends when I was 8 years old who lived down the street from me. And they said, we've got this great new game to play. They come over to our house, and I'm thinking, okay, let's go play Candyland, pick up sticks, those kind of fun games back in the day. We're talking, 73. And they go into their bed and they pull out a Ouija board, not unlike this one sitting here behind me. That's a circa 72. So it would have looked like that board. And I remember it being smaller like that one. They pull it out and I go, what do you do with this thing? They go, it moves. I go, you're pushing it. Come on. You're pushing it. They go, no, we're not. And see, and here's me, Miss Queen Ouija now. Back then I was like, what? This thing's dumb. It doesn't work. They're like, they were doing it. It's moving. It's spelling out words. I said, well, let me try. Stuck my fingers on the planchette, the little indicator that moves around the board. And one of the sisters, there's two sisters, sat there with me. And it started spelling out right away for me. It worked really well. And I was like, well, this is kind of fun. It's entertaining. We asked it questions, getting messages and answers about little silly things. We're just young girls. But then they said, let us show who we like to talk to. And I thought, oh, okay, a ghost or something. Woo, spooky. They said, oh, yeah, it is. And they started talking to this, whatever it was, being. And it started talking to him like it was a little girl our age. So one sister was 10 and my friend was 8, like my age. And I said, who is this? And they said, oh, that's our dead sister. I said, wait, slow down here. You have a dead sister. And I never knew that. And this story has replicated itself for me 2 other times in my life, which is really weird.
Wow.
Yeah, that's in my books. That's really weird. So anyway, I said, you have a dead sister. And the older one, who was 10, said, I had a twin who died shortly after birth. Oh. I said, well, how does this work? She's a baby. And she said, she's growing up on the other side. She's 10 also. And that is what hooked me. Not the fact they were talking to dead people, because I had seen dead, I had visitations, just buoyantly. I could see them and hear them. It wasn't through a board. Okay. So I already was starting to do this stuff on my own. I run home to my parents and I said, it's true. It's true. The dead lives on. They have their own life in the afterlife. I'm learning this in Catholicism. I'm a practicing Catholic at the time. My whole family was, My parents said, well, why are you telling us this today? I said, because I used the Ouija board. And they're like, oh, yeah, wink, wink, like that works. I go, oh, my gosh, it works. And if you don't believe me, I'm asking Santa Claus to give me one for Christmas. And guess what? Lo and behold, Santa gave me this board right here.
Oh, awesome.
So I had to tell that little history and my history of it, where it got started, to really start getting into more of the conversation about it, because there's so much I could say. But I just, maybe we can start there.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I knew you'd appreciate that. It's a fun story. It's just, you can't make this stuff up.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Always the skeptic of like, oh yeah, you're moving it, you're doing it. Yeah.
I was the biggest skeptic when I first started. It was shocking to me. But because on the back of the box, it said, preferably sit male, female across from each other. And I was like, okay, I've got 3 brothers here. Let me enlist a brother. So when I got my board, I said, you're going to sit here and do it with me. And he's like, okay. So he and I started using it at first together. And then I shortly after that learned some of my girlfriends could use it. But most of them were silly and didn't want to ask real questions. And I was always serious about it. I was like, this is like a respectful tool. I don't know why I said that. I just felt it. And this is 73. The Exorcist came out on December 26th, 73. I got the board on December 25th, 73. The Exorcist movie. The book was already out a few years earlier. So I'm like, I'm hearing negative stuff already about this tool. But for me, it was like, no, this is my lifeline to another dimension. And I treated it that way. And so I told my friends if they didn't want to be serious about it, I mean, that's fine. We could play light as a feather, stiff as a board. Do you guys remember that game?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people, their parents would say, you could go to Karen's house and do a slumber party, but you can't use the Ouija board. And I'm thinking, that's stupid. We're going to do something else then. That's just as spooky.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Sounds like my house when my kids was having slumber parties. Their friends always says, well, if you go to their house, don't do anything bitchy, okay?
Oh, I bet.
Oh.
It's so funny how those connotations and stereotypes are just everywhere. And that has a lot to do with okay, first of all, Hollywood, yes. But before that, there was always negative words written up about the Ouija board, even in the late 1800s, early 1900s. You can find articles on this. I do presentations on this when I travel around and speak. And some of the articles I pulled up had to do with people blaming murdering people, murdering their husband or murdering people because the Ouija board told them to. So people have always found an excuse, a scapegoat through the board. We were talking about earlier, a scapegoat to why somebody's life fell apart, but also why they committed mayhem and horrific stuff. So there's always been that connotation. And so you do get that with the Hollywood. And Hollywood, in my mind, did a really great job with that to run with something so prevalent, number one, in people's homes or in their lives for generations back, and then taking it in Hollywood and spinning it a little more. And I think it's, people say, do you like that? I go, yeah, I freaking love it. I think it's a good scare is great. But I know the real story for myself and how this tool really can be used. So I take it tongue in cheek and it's fun, funny. And it's a good scare, but I see how it can so much be used beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, question, Chrissy, when you were talking about your son's friend, and he was saying the Ouija board demon.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before. And you had a name for it. And you said, what is it?
So people call it Zozo. So Darren Evans, who's a friend of mine, he created a movie called the Zozo movie. You can watch it on, I think it's on Netflix or something. I can't remember exactly where it is. Look it up. And so he also talked about, I met him at one of the conferences, I think it's been 11 years ago at least, where he talked about Zozo. He and Rosemary Allen Guiley, who's also one of my friends, well, she's now deceased. They wrote a book together called Zozo. And there's a part I'm in there. They asked my opinion about it. So I don't believe Zozo is a real energy on its own, but it's a constellated energy, like an archetype. So, for example, Michael Jackson, who was the boy that never grew up, he actually had a place called Neverland. So it's that kind of concept where you can constellate an archetype. Michael Jackson constellated the archetype, Puer Eternal, it's called, the eternal boy. He kind of became that. And I think there's energies out there. There's energies out there we can constellate and draw to us with anything we do. It's not just with sitting in the dark with a candle doing a seance or doing a Ouija board. It could be just the way our own energies are. We bring stuff to us. So I think in my mind, I wrote that, and that's what I wrote for their part in the book when they talked about me in there. It's a constellation of an energy. I'm not saying energies don't exist. You got all kinds of energies out there. So that's what people say, be aware what you're doing. But you could just have a chip on your shoulder one day, you get out of bed and everything goes wrong for you because you're attracting that energy to you.
Right.
I'm not to say to blame somebody. We all have those days, but we can also, again, empower ourselves to not have that. And so I think if anybody gets that, and let me talk a little bit further about that. I'm going to show you something with the board in a second. Anybody gets that, they can make a choice to stop it as well. So let me grab this board here. This is my board from Santa Claus. Now, something happens when you use this tool. When you first start using it, you get the plant shut out. And what happens is usually you'll start using it and your body getting used to calibrating to use this tool, it will go back and forth across the board. And if you notice, you got consonant here, you got a vowel here, you got consonants here. So it tends to go, and here's 2 vowels here. So it tends to go mo, mo, ma, ma, za, za, zo, zo, that kind of stuff. It'll start doing that in the beginning only because it goes back and forth. And I can't tell how many people have told me it does that for them. When I started, it did that too. Mine now just goes, I go right to the guides. We can talk about that in a moment if you like. But so that's a phenomenon. And Darren Evans called it the rainbow effect because it's making this horseshoe rainbow effect.
Right.
And I say, yeah, you're going to get a vowel and you're going to get a consonant on your side. So you're going to get something lo, lo, la, la, na, na, no, no, za, za, zo, zo. And so we call it the Zozo effect.
Gotcha.
Okay. So a lot of people believe in it. It's like Slender Man or, and there's stuff out there, you guys,
Yeah.
So I just say, if you get anything like that, one time I was on the board with my brother, and now fast forward maybe 16 years from when I started. No, it was before that. Fast forward 10, 12 years. So now we're in the 80s, early 80s. We get on the board and we're using it and we're talking to, who was I talking to then? We're talking to the spirits that was talking about past lives. I got into that with the board. It was so cool. Whole segment on that. So all of a sudden, some energy came in and just started cussing. Just started cussing us out. And I only go like maybe 15 seconds. Those like explicitives, okay? Said a few of them. My brother's like, what's that? And I'm like, well, that's something I'm not going to talk to. So I took the board and I started this concept of taking my arm and ceremoniously wiping the board off as just say, I'm legit about this. I don't want to have that energy. And I was clear. I said, you're gone. Did this whole little incantation thing. Okay. Boom. Get on the board. And it made way for Wilma Jean, who I talked to for another 15 years, who is a spirit guide of mine that came through. So things like that can happen. My brother's like, well, why did that happen? I go, I don't know why it happened. I said, but you saw how I got rid of it. So people write to me and ask me, they say, well, God, if I get Zozo or Lala or Mama or No or whatever, or somebody talking to me badly, and they go, and I said, well, how long did you talk to it? Oh, I have 30 minutes. Why?
Why?
If I get a crank phone call, remember back in the day, you get crank phone calls?
Yep.
Click. Spammers. Off. I don't even answer the phone, right?
Yeah.
Why do you put your energy there?
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna feel bad about yourself, badly about what's happening because they finally got something on the board. Well, it's easier to get lower energies, and when we're new at channeling with this tool, it's easier for us to be in lower frequency ourselves that attracts that kind of energy. So I say get beyond that, wipe that board off, start all over. Don't spend even 5 minutes talking to the energies.
Right.
And you can have a lot better results. And I just saw somebody join us. Who is that?
Oh, this is my daughter, Amy.
Hello.
She comes in sometimes.
Hi, Amy.
So, yeah, she just got done getting her kids
Wonderful.
care up.
Yep.
So.
Is that a Ouija board user too?
I don't use Ouija boards. I'm highly sensitive, so I don't really need them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
She just lets the rest of us do it without her.
I get enough spirit activity. I don't need to amplify it.
Fully understand. Yeah. A lot of people tell me that too. They'll say that. I'm like, yeah, you got your way of doing it. Stick with what works for you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think that one time we used them after one of my coven sisters passed away and she unlived herself. Anyway, sad story. But probably about a few months later, I just wanted to use it just to see if I connect to her and everything. And I'm glad I did because
you did connect to her.
Yeah, I did. And I got a lot of answers and stuff, why she did it and everything. She said she was sorry. And then she really educated me about the afterlife. So it was all good. But yeah, like I said before, I love using them. So
yeah, I like all different types of like divination items personally, because a lot of people think it's just like Ouija board, and there's so many different options you have as well. So
exactly, and they all work in a similar manner in terms of you connect with the energies using the tool.
Yeah, and they're just as powerful as any other one. So it's just really, you have to use yourself as a tool as well.
See, that's the key right there. I love oracle cards and tarot decks. I use those a lot. I like pendulum. I like I Ching. You name it, I like it. But my all-time favorite, you guys, is the Ouija board. It's just been with me through my whole life. And I also work off the board. I do readings for people, and I don't even use the board. I used to do readings on the board. Now it's so much faster. I just do it directly. I just channel directly now too when I'm doing readings. But the board for me is just, it's a comfortable place to be. It's almost like still having my training wheels on my bike or something. One time my spirit guide said, when are you going to get rid of that crutch? I go, what crutch? They go, the Ouija board crutch. And they meant it tongue in cheek. They said, it's like you're hobbling around with this cane when you're so much better off the board, which is true. And so I got off the board, and I've been doing my readings off the board ever since. That's been quite a few years now. But the board is just, I love that tool. And I love, like I talked about earlier, the beautiful artwork to it and the shifts and changes that's why I have so many boards, because they're all different. Yeah. Oh, here's a fun fact I didn't share with you earlier. I think you guys will all the audience will like this. So, what constitutes a Ouija board? Can you call every board a Ouija board?
Not really. No.
Now, why is that, Chrissy? Why do you say that?
I say that because I've seen so many boards in different shapes and forms. Like I have some friends that are shaman, so they use something that's like it, but it's a bit different. So, it's still the same thing, but they call it a different name because they use it differently. So,
well, okay. So you're hitting on something really important here. True. Here's another piece. Here's the fun fact here. So Ouija is a patent and trademark name. Only those who get to use that name, who are registered to use it, and now Hasbro has it, but they register to other people to use it, can use that name. But all boards are talking boards or spirit boards, because that's the umbrella. And as you mentioned, they're in all different shapes and sizes. And I actually collect talking boards too, not just Ouija boards. I prefer the Ouija boards over all of them, but I have a lot of talking boards and homemade boards, which is just spirit boards or talking boards. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of neat to know. So if you're ever playing some kind of game where you have to have the answer, like Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
And I don't think that question's in there, but I'd put that question in there myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was John from the Witch Board Museum that we interviewed.
Oh, I know John. John's part of the Historical Society.
Salem. I think he told us that fact too.
Yeah, we're colleagues.
Yeah, I guess he did. Yeah. We're going to see him again. When we go to Salem, we're going to stop in
September.
Well, be sure Karen Dahlman, he knows me. We talk all the time. But tell him that you had me. You need to have him on your show, by the way.
Well, where do you have?
Oh, you have? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good. We had him on last year.
He's really sweet.
Oh yeah, he is just.
He knows the history like no other, and he has two museums now in Baltimore. He has one in Baltimore too.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, the one in Salem, that's the one I've been to as well, and I love that. But the one in Baltimore he has now, and he does this full time, the Ouija board stuff.
Yeah, I was just in Salem.
That's such a fun place to go. I love some. You guys know we have the world's largest Ouija board there in Salem Common. Okay, that was TBHS, Talking Board Historical Society, put that together.
I go there, I think twice a year. I go to Salem.
Oh, you do? Oh, lucky you.
Awesome. In the spring and the fall.
Yeah. Well, you guys must be located on the East Coast then. Is that correct?
No, I'm in the Midwest.
Well, that's close enough. I'm way over here in Arizona, guys.
Yeah, I'm in the Midwest.
Well, next time when we go to Salem, we're dragging Minnie and Rat along with us.
Yeah.
And,
cool. Oh, good.
All the places.
I'm gonna show her all the locations and like my favorite food places.
Oh,
I have like a person that knows Salem like the back of her hand, so she's gonna show me around. It's a bucket list item, so I can't wait.
Oh yeah,
I've been there enough. I stayed at the Hawthorne last time I was there. It was really
that's the haunted one.
I had an old lady in my room, and I felt that energy, so I sent Medium Red a video of the room. I wanted to see if she felt the same energy as I did, because she's more confident in her abilities than I am. And so it was cool.
That is really cool. Spirit is non-local, so you can definitely be at another place. And I've done this many times on the Ouija board. Yeah, and you know this, Red. You can tap into them. Same as you're doing readings, you're tapping into the energies that are elsewhere, right? So that's what's a fun experiment to work with. I love that.
I mean, that's like primarily like, when I do readings, they're very few in person anymore. I mean, it's like
mine are not in person at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like even through Zoom, or even like what, like Amy was saying, she's all the way across country and I'm in Arizona and she's in, she's in Salem. And so, yeah, it just comes to me like that. It's just,
Same.
Okay, this is what I'm getting. I'm getting this. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's because spirit's non-local, and that's how the Ouija board works
Right.
too. And
Yeah.
I call it my great cosmic phone. If I dial up the
Yeah.
correct frequency, I can reach into any frequency. Now, this gets into like angelic kingdom, all kinds of different levels of energies, ethereal beings, spirit guides, extraterrestrials. It goes on and on. So I write books about those conversations and connections I made. And one of my books, 2 books ago, was called When Cats Had Wings. In that book, I channeled my cat. There's When Cats Had Wings. My cat, Jack, who was very much alive. And he finished the book when he was in transition. So I do animal communications with the board. On and off the board, I'm better on the board with the animal communications. And so he channeled this story to me through the board and off the board through dreams and stuff, just petting him. And then I put it to poetic prose, but he gave me the whole story. And in the book, he is the person, he's the narrator in the book. It's a super cute story. It's for the young at heart, not just kids.
I love that. When my childhood pet died, she did a visit with me when I was pregnant, because I lost her when I was pregnant. And I was super emotional about it because I had her pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
And then she came to me and I had closure that way. But I thought it was like beautiful. And I think a lot of people just don't think of that. But I seen her, she was just like on my couch. And I'm like,
I love it. I love it. Yeah, they are there with us. And even Jack has spoken to me not too long ago. I think it was maybe about 6 months ago. He said, hey, my book's doing really well. His book is selling really well.
Yeah.
Because the book's doing really well. I knew I could help a lot of people in the afterlife. I go, yeah, you are. It's a great story.
Right. I love it. That's so adorable too.
Oh, it's so cute. But yeah, this tool, and we're talking about going off this tool and using ourselves as a tool, because I really consider myself a walking Ouija board. Just because I'm doing it. I'm the one doing the work. But I find when we step into these realms, whether it's using these different kind of divination tools or whatever we want to call them, or just ourselves, the possibilities are limitless when it comes to channeling sentience and consciousness. So my whole focus now is really how far can I push the boundaries of consciousness and tap into it. And I'm working on a book now. I've been working on it for a few years here about consciousness. It's really there's a lot of research and it's heavy.
Wow.
Not some of my books are lighter, some of my books are heavier. This is one of my heavier books.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't wait to read it. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, yeah. We let me bring up your books one more time so everybody can
Thank you.
a look at them. So, and you had them see the fourth one over is about the Ouija boards.
Yeah, the Spirits of Ouija was probably one of my most popular because everybody wants to know how to use this tool. So you were asking earlier how to use it. That book right there, I put in the do's, the don'ts, the trials, the tribulations. I give examples of animal communication, angel communication. So when I was writing this book, the first book, The Spirit of Creativity, I wrote with the help of my angel on the board. It was when I was a practicing psychotherapist. And they said, the last thing you want to do is talk about using the Ouija board. They said, do not mention us at all in this book. I said, okay. So when I came out talking about that book on shows, everybody said, well, how did you do your work? I go, well, then that's my second book, The Spirits of Ouija. And in that book, I am very clear. This is talking just using a Ouija board and who I communicate with and everything from the deceased all the way up to like angelic beings, ethereal beings and stuff. I said, can I talk about extraterrestrials? They said, absolutely not. I said, what? They go, people aren't ready for that yet, Karen. Well, my book of consciousness, it has all that in that. It's gone so much further. Yeah. So I said I wouldn't put that in there. They were right. The book came out in 2015. I think people weren't ready to hear that. At that point, I was still fighting the connotation and the stereotype that it's such a negative tool. Right. And I was new started talking to the public 2012 about what I do. And so it was really new to people. And I think it was scaring them. Everyone wanted to fight me. And I'm like, there's no reason to fight me. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I love it. And let me show you why. And if you want to learn how I do it, then that's the book to read because it's a very positive take on it.
I love that. So I have abilities and everything since I've been a young child. That's all I ever have remembered. Like my earliest memories, having an old lady sitting on my bed, humming Silent Night.
Yeah.
And I've always had experience my entire life. And tools like that, for especially as younger people, are amazing tools because a lot of us feel alone and outsiders with our abilities. And I feel like when we read books like that, that helps us and guides us.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I was 8 and I was seeing things already, and I had different kinds of ethereal beings visiting me, including the deceased, but other, like I was seeing like what I call the guardians now. And I haven't really spoken open about all this stuff yet.
Are you RH negative?
I am.
I am too.
I figured that. And guess what, you guys? Everybody in my family, except for me, is RH positive.
Really? My mom's all O positive. I think my dad.
They are. My whole family is. My parents are. My siblings are. I'm the one who's RH negative. My mom says, "What do you think? I had an affair with an alien?" I go, "Not necessarily, mother, but I do think something happened."
Do you know? I always say I'm just a little bit of alien, so it's fine. That's why
I can see that in you already. Well, and see, that's what was visiting me when I was little. That's where it all started. So with that, and I was alone. And this is in 73. And I couldn't tell my parents, although I did. They said, "You're making stuff up. You got to quit doing this. You're going to be made fun of when you go to school." And I had an imaginary playmate that wasn't imaginary at all. And I said, it was like a fairy. And they said, "No, you got to stop this." And so I had nobody to talk to. So when I did find the board at the age of 8, it was like my lifelong and that lifeline. That's what I was telling them before you came on. I said, that was my lifeline. And I discredited at the age of 8. I was like, what is this? This is stupid. It's a stupid game. Let's play Candyland instead. But when I realized it was a tool that really worked, I was just so mesmerized, and allowed me, Chrissy, you were mentioning earlier, to do a lot of exploration with some of my guides about the afterlife. And then it got into past lives, and they started teaching me about things I didn't even know. And then when I got older and became a hypnotherapist along with a therapist and all those things, I started teaching and doing past life therapy for my clients because I saw the value of that too, going into these other dimensions. So yeah, the Ouija board can be a great lifeline for you. I agree. And the people that want to have this exploration, I'm not going to say it's easy to use it in the beginning. It was for me, but it's not for everybody. I have quite a few friends now who've reached out to me and said it was easy for them. But I could tell you I have that many more times 100 that say it's a hard tool to use, Karen. I bought it. I've been using it for a week. It won't work. I said, my God, it's probably going to take you 3 months to maybe even a year of doing it because it doesn't always work right away. Right?
Well, you also have to, like with any divination item, you have to create that bond, that relationship.
Right. Correct.
Right.
So, because it comes hand in hand, you're also using a part of yourself.
You are. That's it. You have to perfect yourself, your own channeling ability.
You are the Ouija board. You know,
that's basically.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of like dating. You need to create that relationship. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, you do. And you also, when you said that relationship with the tool, it's like you don't want to have that fear factor towards this tool and then use it. It's just not going to work. It's just going to be negative, or it's not going to work. But if you have that idea, I say be neutral, or at least even be excited about it, or inquisitive, curiosity. And then all of a sudden, you get this. It's amazing what can happen. I teach workshops on how to use this tool, and unfortunately, I only have like an hour and a half typically. But I've traveled around doing this, and I've been able successfully helping couples. I always say use it with somebody else only because it's easier in the beginning than you trying it by yourself. But I've taught some people how to use it by themselves too. Now, here's something fun to say about myself. 39 years, I only used it with a partner. And people said, why did you change after 39? I've been using it for 53 years now. They say, why? Why did it take you that long? I said, because that's what the back of the box said. I said, use it with a partner.
Yeah, right.
And it works so well for me. I was like, I don't need this tool, but I love it. And I just like to do it with a partner. But the fun thing was this, as the work started getting more profound. And in this book, The Spirits of Alchemy, it's more advanced Ouija stuff because I get into the profound messages that came through the board and how we worked with it and in real time in my life and with my friend's life and stuff too. And what I found is that if you start using this tool on that level where you're curious and you want to explore and you start developing your relationship with using this tool, you like it, and with yourself, it's amazing where this stuff can go for you. And that's what it's about for me now. It's awakening yourself to your highest self, to your greatest good. And in fact, in 89, I just finished graduate school. I was starting to practice. I was working at a hospital. I met other clinicians, and they were really curious about my work. And we all don't talk about it. Don't tell anybody else. They gather at my house, and we use this tool. And we decided. I said, "Hey, let's just talk to our higher selves. Now that's like an archetypal energy I was talking about earlier. Carl Jung talked about that. Okay. So I said, that's your greater self, your inner self. You call it your soul self, whatever, the seat of your soul. I said, let's call it our higher self. And for 4 years, that's all we did. And I had no idea what we were doing other than we were getting good messages. It was positive. It was helping us in our lives. And our higher selves would come to these messages. There's 3 of us and we had 3 higher selves. There was like 6 of us in this room, although it was just 3 people and 3 higher selves. It was excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
As we started to develop that part of ourself, awakening up this greater part of ourself within, that's when the angelic kingdom started coming. That's when the extraterrestrials started coming. That's when animal communication opened up. That's when I met the ethereal beings, the guides, and so forth and so on. Because I had developed this vessel, this channel here to be, it's like my guides call, and they talk about in that book how to do this without a board even, but they call it plugging into the outlet of your higher self. It's that simple. It's easy to say, but the work to do it does require a little bit. It requires effort, but it requires a little bit of time. And so they were like, well, let's talk to people about how to do this off the board too, because that's important because people really want to know how to do this and the board might still scare them. So I kind of traversed the whole things of the Ouija board from the beginning to where I am now, and now pushing boundaries of consciousness to communication way beyond what people even imagine.
That's incredible.
That is.
So, question for you, Karen: Do you teach online classes as well on this? Or
I have. I'm not so much now. I've done a few. I used to have people back when I was in California. I used to host people at my house. We would do open message circles, and I would teach there as well. Now it's more about if I'm in person, I'm at a program or an event. That's when I'll sit down and teach. I like to be right there in person because I will sit with the person and say, okay, try this. I watch their body. Because I'm telling you what, it's even about your muscles, how you hold your body, because you can get real tired in the neck and shoulders. I've had people develop headaches and all this stuff because they just are too tight. Stomach aches. I watch the body ergonomics, if you will. And I've kind of perfected it over the years how to do that. And so I sit with people, I help them with that. I watch how they rest their hands on it. And I prefer to be in person. But I have a YouTube channel and I haven't done a whole lot of videos on it lately at all. It's because I've been focusing on other things lately. But I have about 220 plus videos on there, all about these kind of topics we're talking about. Predominantly the Ouija board, but a lot about just even how to do this work off the board. Yeah.
We'll have to put the link in the comments after the podcast, and that way when those who sees it later on will have that link.
I'll talk about it on TikTok.
It's just Karen A. Dahlman. Everywhere you find me is Karen A. Dahlman. Karen A. Dahlman on YouTube. Yeah,
she does TikTok too
with my cousin and then a couple other people who I co-host
or within the cauldron.
We have like a whole team. So
that's right. I did see your @ symbol. That's right. That's awesome. No, I've seen you have a whole group of people who are part of your group.
Yeah. I feel like it's because my whole platform, even like for the paranormal, because I've always had experience. I want everybody to be able to connect to each other and trade knowledge so they feel less alone in the paranormal field and also in witchcraft and spirit and spiritual and everything. So on all platforms, I try to.
I think it's wonderful. I spent all those years in a vacuum way before the internet doing this work. It did, but here's the positive side of that. I didn't have to listen to the negativity. You know, and so by the time internet comes out, I think my first it was AOL. You dial up 1989. My first computer was doing. They didn't have chat rooms on the Ouija. They didn't at all. They had my friend, one of the colleagues from the Talking Board Historical Society, Gene Orlando, had the Museum of Talking Boards, and then Robert Murch had another Ouija board website too. We've all grown our websites in many ways since then, but they were the ones I could see and like, people like Ouija boards too. But I like the fact I was in the vacuum. But the coolest thing now about social media is that now I'm not alone.
No, you're not.
Right. No, we're not alone. And you could be with people around the world, which, you said, how do I know Barry John and Jacqueline Dixon, all that, from the UK. When I travel there, they met who I am. And I went over there, travel, we talk and we still hang out, which is so beautiful. I love social media, internet for that. So we can all share our stories and work together. Cause what's happening is we are really opening up our third eye in incredible ways, right? Our chakras. And so now we don't have to be alone doing it.
Yeah, speaking of that, I was talking about the paranormal with one of my friends from Australia, and he's gonna be a future guest. His name is Red too. And so it's all about making connections, and
we love the connections.
I feel like it's highly important, especially nowadays, you know.
It is.
Well, we do UFOs too, encrypted.
You talk about it all.
You know, we do life as being a vampire.
Yeah, like psychic vampires and stuff like that. Like, because there's so many different spiritual paths as well as different types of paranormal.
I'm glad you said that. People want to judge it and go, "Oh, Ouija board, not for me." But vampires and oracle cards are for me. I'm like, you know what? Everybody has a spiritual path, people, right?
Right.
Use what works for you. It might be a combination of a few things. You know, I know for myself, a lot of my spirituality. When I was in graduate school, I did a residency at a Native American reservation. And I was so enthralled with the spirituality of Native American stuff. I spent a lot of times in New Mexico, where I was surrounded by it. And a lot of my artwork is Native American related. I love their work so much. But I got into the spirituality of it, learning from the tribe, being invited to their special feast days and stuff. And so my path at one point was actually going down that road with them, learning their stuff. And then I incorporate back with some of my Catholicism stuff with the saints and stuff of that nature. And then we find ourselves going down these different roads, and it's okay. It's okay to pick and choose and make your own path. I know people go, well, I'm this kind of Wiccan. Well, that's fine. That's your path. But I might pull in some witchcraft myself a little here and there, because
that's kind of how I am. I pull from different paths and really like resonates with me, because I feel like life is so short, and it's not my place to judge you or anyone, you know, because I wouldn't want that personally. So
I don't either.
Yeah. What would you say to those who will ask you, how do I protect myself when I do the board?
Like, how would you start using it and use it like in a way that feels comfortable?
And you feel like you protect it. There's no, know.
Yeah, that's important.
It's going to protect you.
That's a wonderful question. A great way to talk about this, because as we get into how to use it more, this is perfect. I was hoping we'd segue into that way, because you've got, we talked about it earlier, you really got to feel comfortable with yourself. I tell people, they go, well, I've got this ritual I use and it works really well when I do psychic readings. Use it. Use whatever you have in place. And so for me, I did a lot of Native American spirituality with the tobacco. I would even smoke tobacco. There's smoke the four corners, what I learned from some tribesmen. There's things I would use when I started developing myself with this tool. I've been using this tool. I wasn't smoking when I was 73. Okay. When I was in my 20s and stuff, I was then starting to experiment with some of this stuff, because that's when I was working with the tribe, the reservations people. Yeah. And they showed me these things to use. And I always like crystals, and I bring them in. So there's so many rituals you can use. Now I do talk about 13 steps to preparing in this book, The Spirits of Ouija. And it turned out I didn't try to make it 13. That's just how it came to be. And I'm like, that's a freaking kick-ass number. We love 13, right? So it became 13 steps and things to do to prepare yourself for a session. Yeah. And one of my biggest thing I'll say, well, there's actually, let me highlight 3 big things. One is check your baggage at the door. Don't bring it to the session, which allows you to step into a really new space. It's like all about creating the ambiance to step into where you can receive these kind of messages and put yourself in that space to receive them. Yeah. And then number 2 is, I always say, I like to do some kind of breathing circuitry exercise. I talk about it on my YouTube channel. It's in the book. I talk about a little incantation to say. I give it to you verbatim of what the guides taught me. And that just also helps solidify being in that space. It's me getting into that space and taking my team, meaning the spirits I work with, or the partner I'm working with, or the circle I'm with, into that space. Yeah. The third thing is I'm so respectful. It's like, I say, thank you, please. I appreciate you being here today. And when I'm done, I say the same thing too. Thank you for making this connection, allow me, because it's such a strong connection. And these beings are my friends. I mean, after all these years of working with them, they're my friends who come through every time. And those 3 things are important. I will say this, they're important. Anything in life we do, put ourselves in the right space. Don't take your crap into other people's circle, and always be gracious and appreciate gratitude. Show that. And that's really 85% of using this tool, getting in those spaces. But I give other things to do that will help. And if it means burning candles or, doing this smoking the four corners or putting out your salt or your salopanto, a palo santo, or incense or whatever it is, I do all that. It just depends how I'm feeling that day.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
Come with
too.
respect to learn how to protect yourself, especially when you are using any divination item.
Well,
Right.
even saying thank you too, you should always be respect for saying thank you to any kind of divination tool that you are using.
Right.
It's just, I do that all the time. My dowsing rods, my pendulum, Ouija boards, my tarot cards, I always say thank you.
Even if I'm just communicating to a spirit myself without any divination item, you're a divination item if you really want to,
Yeah, that's your that's like your lifeline. That's your being. They're your
I
friend.
always respect the spirits, and I always say thank you for communicating to me, especially if they're kind to me. If they're maybe a little malicious, I'm like, okay, boundaries have to be drawn here.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said, we talked about boundaries a little earlier when I think you weren't on yet, when I was talking about when I used it with my brother one time, they started cussing. Is that when you came in? I can't remember. But we talked about that. That was setting boundaries. That's, you guys, I want everybody here to hear that. It's okay to not communicate with everything that might come through anything you're doing. You can say no. It's like you meet somebody and you're like, you don't like that energy because you're feeling it intuitively. You're like empathic going, ew, that's like a bloodsucker. It's like a vampire. Right. Say no. It's okay to say no, right?
It is okay to say no. That's one of the most powerful sentences you can say to anyone or anything is no.
Right.
Everything has to be in your circle. So, and a lot of people think they have to. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Create your circle.
Right.
Have to
yeah. And I'm a therapist. And I would tell people, you say no, learn to say no a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's not good for your own energy. It's not good for your own countenance. You know what I mean?
100%.
Saying no is healthy. Because I think as women, we and especially when you're empathic, like all of us here, intuitive, we want to help. We want to be there. We know we could go into the war trenches with them and help, do stuff. That could be a problem for us.
Right.
And people say, well, how do you turn it off at night? I go, well, I do. I have rules. And I've started these rules when I was really young because I was scared. I was scared in the dark for many years because the beings would come. I didn't know how to even do that. I got to an age where I said, okay, you cannot come past this threshold of my door. You want to talk to me, be patient when I get the board out or when I do a session, or you let me know in the morning, I'll talk to you. I said, that's it. Yeah. And they respect that now. And I have a group of beings on your side, my bouncers, I call them my bouncers in the book. My gatekeepers that we're all working together. We're a team,
Right.
It's okay. Yes, definitely. I know, so you are an author, you channeling, you spirit communication. Is it anything you don't do? Have you and you into the aliens, about everything.
Oh yeah.
So when somebody asks you what is your career, what would you tell them actually?
Well, here's what's funny. People hardly even ask me that question. I don't do this for a living. There's been times, I do readings all the time, but I actually have a successful company based out of California that's in telecom. And I help do power and fiber and stuff for cell towers and the power company. So that was my bread and butter. And I'm a consultant now. I'm pretty much retired, but I still consult. I still do some gigs. And I love that work. It's very left brain or right brain. This is more left brain creative, but this is more, the other stuff's right brain. I love technology. And so I use my computer all the time when I write my books, all that stuff. I love technology. So that's what I'm known for in California. But I'm also this work too. I've been out in the public just since 2012 talking about this because I'd lay in bed at night listening to Art Bell. This before George Norrie had Coast to Coast back in the day.
I love George Norrie.
Yeah. 1996, 95, 97, and before, and George took it over a little after that. So I'm listening to these shows and I hear people call, oh, the Ouija board's so bad. And Art Bell's like, oh, it's so bad. And I was on call. I said, this is it. I'm writing a book about this. I'm going to call him up. And what year was this? This was 1996, 5 or 6. I get on, I actually get through, and they have me on hold, and then the show ended. I'm like, oh. I said, it's not enough time to come out and talk about it.
Yeah. Clearly,
But since then,
timing is everything.
when my first book came out, you guys, it's true story. This is so weird. This book came out. Because before this book came out, well, it came out in 2012. I was on a plane or getting on a plane. George Norrie and I ended up sitting next to each other from coast to coast. And we didn't know each other, okay? We started a conversation in line at the airport. And he's like, what do you do? And I go, oh, I'm in telecom, blah, blah, blah. I didn't tell him about the Ouija board stuff. And I go, what do you do? He goes, oh, I talk at conferences that talk about weird stuff. I go, you mean like UFOs and ghosts? Because I knew who he was. And he goes, oh, yeah, that kind of stuff. So we just started having a great conversation, sat down on the plane together. We were flying from, was it Oakland down to Vegas. And he was going for some business and I was going for some business. And, it was just a flight we had. And he started talking about some things. And I go, well, I joked with him first. I said, he goes, you know who I am? I go, yeah, you're Art Bell. He goes, no, I didn't. And he goes, no. I go, I know who you are. You're George Norrie. He goes, oh my God, I go, I listen to the show all the time. I love this show. It's just so weird how this happened. So I never talked about this publicly until I was on the show a couple months ago, and he brought it up. I waited till he brought it up publicly after all these years we met. Okay. He brought it up and said, you remember that time we met on the plane? I go, well, I remember that time on the plane. Because what happened was this. I said, so I know you don't like the Ouija board. I said, I love it. He goes, you do? I go, I'm writing a book on it right now. And he goes, when you get that book published, he goes, I want you on my show. Because we had this great conversation. He said, nobody sits on the plane ever and has interviewed me. Because I was interviewing him. I said, tell me about your shadow people you see, your shadow rats, he called them. So we did this whole thing. And he was like, well, you know a lot about this stuff. I go, yeah, I've been doing this for a while too. So so that was my first show I was ever on, you guys, when I came out in the public. It was weird how that all worked. And it was with this book. It was on that show. People said, where I couldn't talk about the Ouija board in it. They said, well, we want to know how you channeled all this information. And I said, well, that book came out next. So it's just been weird how this whole career has gone for me with this. And so, yeah, I love doing this and doing it full time. It's a lot because you guys know about readings and stuff. It's like, I like how I do it now. It's kind of split.
Mm-hmm. It's
Very
exhausting.
awesome.
Draining.
Yes, it can be. And so boundaries, that's why boundaries are so important for us. We have to learn to separate from what we're receiving and hearing. And I got to tell you, when I was a therapist, I learned that in graduate school. When I became an art psychotherapist, I work with people with art to help them heal. But they're also at the time speaking about what's happening in their life, where it was like you get vicariously traumatized by hearing their stories. And so my professors were really clear about it in practicum, learning how to establish those boundaries so you don't have countertransference. Right. So they may project on you and have transference, but you got to separate. And I learned really well how to do that. And that has helped me with the board. And it's helped me with my readings. And it's helped me even set the boundaries with the spirits when they come through. So if I can give any advice to anybody doing this work, and you guys are nodding your heads because it's learning again to say no and set those boundaries for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely.
You can sleep at night, right? So you can sleep at night and have your own life.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
To be able to disturb sleep.
Yeah, she had a lot of experience with shadow people.
Shadow people.
Oh, you and George need to talk.
Yeah, Big Spoon. That's a whole joke on this channel.
Only two Andy guying you.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it. I mean, the world, the other dimensions is so, we don't even know a piece of it, to be honest with you. I think it's the tip of the iceberg. The other dimensions, there's so many levels and layers and constellated within layers. And then you think about the galaxies now, the cosmos. There's billions and billions of galaxies, you guys.
Yeah.
With the sun. And there's more like trillions. It's beyond. I mean, I went to this lecture once with this professor who talks about this. He goes, if I could show you, he's like, it's just one dot. You look at ourselves in the Milky Way. He goes, imagine it's now multiple, even quadrillions. He goes, it's so big we can't even count it anymore. He goes, that is what science sees. And he says, so you got to think about this, the possibility for other life. It's out there. It's here in our world. We keep finding new types of life forms here in our oceans, on the ground. I mean, as our telescopes get bigger, we can go further down the ocean. Our technology changes. We're seeing so much more. And I think as we develop our own our own tool, our own technology, old school technology, we can end up seeing and communicate with more. And that's what I think is happening right now in the world, and why there's such an unrest globally, as well as, the macrocosm and the microcosm. We're seeing it here with ourselves because we have to awaken to this. to go into the next level of experience for ourselves. Yeah,
yep, exactly.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I know my husband got a telescope for his Christmas last year.
Yeah,
and
we see pictures all day, every day of the stars.
Well, galaxies, and I mean,
I love it.
It's really exciting because it's like
It's exciting.
that is up in our sky and we don't even know about it.
Yeah,
That's true.
You guys, I got night vision goggles a few years ago. I think it was about 6-7 years ago. Night vision military grade goggles.
Ooh.
I go outside and the stuff I can see at night, I've seen giant orbs that just interact with me that I can't see with the naked eye. I've seen the spaceships. I think it's a lot of our own technology, TR-3Bs. I've seen those. There's some weird stuff, right? And like you're talking about telescope, it's crazy. It is crazy. And we're just beginning to see it because the technology is developing more and more to see it.
Right. Exactly.
I have a question because you work with beings. Do you, because I know personally, I've had a feeling of something like I knew the time it was going to come visit me. You had that feeling as well.
Well, here, let's talk about this. You brought up something really great, and I really love talking about this, but it's rare I'll talk about it. When I feel a new being coming in, there's a certain feeling. I'm curious if you have the same feeling. There's this feeling I get, and I have this not too long ago before a new being came in. I might be in bed in an altered state, or just laying, or I could be awake too. It's usually when I'm relaxed, though. I feel the swirling movement, and I know when it's coming in. When I was a kid, that energy would come in, it would swirl in, get right up against me, and all I can call it is like a whirlpool, a swirl in space and time. And my body goes, okay, your choice is, are you afraid or are you going to accept it? And I was a kid, it scared the crap out of me. Now when I'm older, I turn to it, and it's like a split second, okay? And I turn to it, and there it is. Whether I'm supposed to receive a download or usually it's visual, but I can also get information. It's there, right there. I've seen some really incredible beings doing that, not being afraid anymore. How about you? I'd like to hear about you.
I felt like it was kind of like a falling feeling.
Explain that further.
Like, it was like where I was like at the most relaxing zone, you know, when you're like about to fall asleep. And it kind of like what you said, but swirling, but it kind of felt like a falling feeling. Like I had no control what was about to come at me.
My only control was don't look at it or look at it.
Yeah.
That was all I did. But as a kid,
I'm like, how am I going to react? Am I going
correct?
To
and if you're scared, as a kid, I was scared. I was terrified of the dark, like I said, for years until up into my early 30s. I'm embarrassed to say that, but that's the truth.
I would climb in bed with my parents even as a teenager because I knew
she's like,
yes, about to come.
See, that was it. And my parents were like, "What are you talking about?" I didn't say I got RH negative and you guys don't. Nowadays I say that. I go, I have. Did you feel stuff that I told you? I have RH negative, and my mom's like, "What do you think happened? You think I had sex with an alien?" I go, "No, mother, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying things happen."
It does.
Things like, well, maybe now that you brought it up, is there something?
What did you say that?
Do you know something I don't know, Mother?
Yeah, is there something you want to tell me about that?
Oh my God, that is so funny because we have these great conversations. So when I came out with this book, 2015, we're just talking 11 years ago. My mom read it. And she's like, she was reading it when it was actually a manuscript. She's like, I didn't know you were doing this stuff. I go, what are you talking about? I would come home and tell you all these stories. You were there. Santa Claus gave me the board. She goes, oh, I thought you're faking it. I go, really? And then she's reading it. She's like, wow. Now, my mom used to go to Chandler. She was into all the stuff. She'd take me with her. We go hear automatic writing and all this stuff. But she's like, her daughter's not doing this. And now she's like, can you get a message for me for my guides?
So I feel
they're all into it. My parents, they're all into it now. Thit yeah, we believe you. It was hard for them to crack that code.
Yeah. Right.
Crack that code of consciousness.
He used to tell me, because I would go to him too. I would go to my parents, be like, oh my God, this is happening. I feel this way. Something is watching me when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And my dad would be like, it's just in your head. And I'm like,
sad.
And I'm like, oh my God. Because I felt like I was crazy.
Yeah. So, my parents told me, they called me crazy Karen.
So he said he just didn't want me to be scared from it. But I didn't know how to protect myself at that time. So his guidance really would have helped me if he would have sat down and talked to me about it.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
I'm okay with my parents the way they responded to it because I think they were doing the best they could.
Right.
Like go to school. You don't want to be like the crazy girl over there that talks to weird people that nobody else can see. So I
Right.
go, okay. I said, Mom, I'll give you that now. We're good.
Yeah.
And now I just go out, internationally and talk to people about this. She's like, oh, how was your last show you did? That's not your business, so it's really fun to hear you and do that. Yeah, I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So I get why they're protecting you as they're protecting me. They
It's
did the
not
best
in
they
the
could.
parenting handbook either how to handle a child with
Well,
abilities.
I didn't really. I mean, I protect you, but I just hugged her. I just come here,
Aw.
open my arms, and just hugged her, and that was it.
Sure. It was a
So-
great hug.
But you're
Yeah.
younger too. So my parents are like almost 90. They're 89, almost
Yeah.
90. So that's a whole different era. That was
Yeah.
like, you don't talk about this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In the 90s, like they didn't
It
really
was
talk
less
about
like
it as
that.
much.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Well,
They didn't. You're right. And you have a mother that's, we're close in age. And
Yeah.
and she was at least open. I think that's great. But
Right.
yeah, I get it. You felt isolated and alone. And a lot of people write to me and tell me
Yeah.
the same thing for that reason. I go, I can relate 100%. Totally.
well,
You write books and everything now too, is to help the audience feel less
Right.
alone.
Yeah, and I have a lot of younger readers too, in their teens and older, because I think it's appropriate, to read the stuff, like you said earlier, if they need help with this, and to do it, a way that's going to be positive for them, right?
Yeah, I was raised by the silent generation, and that's exactly what it was. Silent generation. They didn't talk about that, So
Or they quickly shut it down if you talk about
Yep.
it.
right.
Yeah.
And again, the same situation. I was raised Catholic, and my mom was extremely Catholic. And so I sit there and tell her that I'm talking to my dead grandfather. She's like, that's a vivid imagination. And no, we're not going to do that. That's demonic. You need to shut that down,
Yeah.
Isn't
My
that
mom
funny?
was the
Because they
same way.
talk about Moses talking to a burning bush, right? And I said, well, if somebody can talk to a burning bush, why can't I talk to, to my cat on the Ouija board?
Yeah.
Insane. So I would say things like that when I was little. I said, well, how do they part the Red Seas? I mean, if that's possible, why can't I talk to a dead person through the board?
Right. Yeah. I would do the same thing with my mother as well. When I got older, I, start pushing the envelope a little bit with her on, the religion. Not that I don't feel like religion is right, wrong, or indifferent or anything like that. It's merely the fact of you can't shut down something that I'm doing when in reality. And she was a born again Catholic, born again Christian. So if you're familiar with all that stuff, the laying of hands on people and being drunk in what do they call it?
Drunk in the spirit.
Yeah, drunk in the spirit. Thank you, Chrissy. Yeah. So again, and it's like Jesus, God, the Holy Ghost. I mean, it's like you can't really tell me one thing when you're really kind of doing the other over here, and it's basically the same.
It goes back to what we said earlier about there's many paths that we all choose to take. I mean,
Exactly.
It's like every path leads to the top of the mountain. It's just how you're going to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always tell
Buddha
people
sages said
everything's
that.
connected.
Yeah. Everything is connected.
Right. Exactly.
I'm just waiting for the time where the ETs would come and just mingle with us.
They are mingling with us.
They are.
They are.
I was just going to say that they're amongst us already.
She wants it more outright, where everybody recognizes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're afraid. I think a lot of them don't want to bring that fear to us.
Right.
They fear that they're afraid they're going to make us
So I
afraid.
tell everybody that they are here. They're with us now. You just don't know it.
They are.
Of course, you get a lot of but yeah, I do believe they are.
I'm part alien, so
We know that.
Yeah, there you go. You got an alien daughter, so
Yeah. Alien
her
daughter.
husband's alien.
And her mother, I guess had sex with an alien man.
That happened.
wow, this is getting good, you guys. The best thing about this conversation, I have to say, with my parents, and we're talking about, they shut me down as little. They're near the end of their life. I mean, they could live to be 100, maybe. I don't know. They've outlived their parents, and they're 89 now. And we talk about death. We talk about the afterlife now. Before we didn't talk about that openly, and I always have been, and now we do. Maybe not some. Actually, they sat down to the Ouija board with me. They have done that with me, which that wasn't something they would do maybe 20 years ago. Now they would, and then we have a pact. If whoever dies first, and I mean, I can go tomorrow too. You never know. I'm going to get a Ouija board, or they would. But if they go first, they said they would talk to me on the Ouija board, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, I've had pacts of other friends of mine who have transitioned, and they have come back when we made that pact and spoke to me through the Ouija board. So, but
awesome.
I like this, allows us to more safely, comfortably have a conversation about death that our technologically advanced culture has gotten away from since the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
Before that, death was a common thing. They talked about death a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They honored their dead. They put them in pictures. I mean, they kept their locks. They had to deal with death somehow. It was part of their life. People died at a young age, childbirth all the time. You were 40, you were an old person dying, right? You were
Yep.
old. So now we're so technologically advanced too with our healthcare system. It's like we don't necessarily talk about death so healthily anymore.
Yeah.
We're almost trying to avoid it. So having this conversation right now really allows the audience too to be maybe a little more open about talking about this.
Exactly.
And also talking about this stuff with social media and we're talking about extraterrestrials and aliens and angels and all that stuff too. But that just takes you another dimensions, which death is another dimension, another threshold. You know,
Right. It is.
and we're still alive, very much alive there. But to
I
have
feel
these
like
conversations.
everybody's so scared of death, but I feel like death
Sure.
is just as important as being born, you know?
Mhm.
Embrace
We
it.
all celebrate birth, but nobody celebrates death. You know what I mean? And it's
Because they feel so much grief about it, and I get it. The person's gone, but if you really this conversation right now leads to enjoy your moment with those people you love.
Right.
Enjoy your, doesn't it? Because you don't know what you have left. You don't know when the last time you're going to talk to them. It always
It's
makes
present.
me happy and more joy. So I've made sure with my parents that we have a lot of quality time. When we traverse the gamut of information and conversations, including death. I want to know that I've had as much joy with them as I can. And, I think that's a healthy thing to do. So everybody out there, if you're thinking about your death and you're afraid of it, have those conversations with the ones you love. What does that mean to you?
And
how much you care about them?
if you are scared of it, there's a death midwife, there's death doulas, there's people you can talk to about grief and how to handle it and the next step in your, death is the next step. So any day, we go.
We cannot fight it off or
like
anything.
I could go before her. Tomorrow's not promised. Today is not promised. And
that's why today is a present.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's a gift because it is the present. I love it
because it's the present.
Have you guys had a death doula on your show?
So one of my good friends is a death doula. So
she's just going through some
she's going through some stuff right now, but
Yeah.
hopefully in the future she'll be on as a guest.
Yeah, that'd be great
for you guys for sure.
Yeah,
I mean the Ouija board talks on all this, but to circle back to the Ouija board, I want to say you don't just have to talk to dead things on the board. I want to make sure everybody understands that. When I started doing animal communication, my cat was very much alive. My first cat named Hermes is the one that came to me. He was not dead. He was sitting right there in a chair and wanted to talk to me. So it's a cute story. So I'm sitting there using the Ouija board, a board partner, and this is 1996, January 26, 1996. So I'm using the tool and I'm talking to my angel, Mary Angel is her name. And she still comes through this day, but other beings come through more than she does. Anyway, so she goes, there's somebody wants to talk to you. And I said, all right. I talked to all the ghosts and spirits and stuff. She goes, oh, no, this is so different than that. I said, well, okay, bring him in. She's like, okay. The planchette slowed down and went a different direction. And it spelled out, Hermes cat, I love you. And my cat named Hermie, big fat orange cat, sit right there in a chair, very much alive, would sit in this chair when I use the Ouija board. Just love to be around the energy. Most cats, I have a cat right here, right next to me. Loves to be when I talk about this stuff because they love the energy. The animals do. It's not just cats, but dogs. All these animals do. So I said, what? You mean my cat's not going meow, meow, or it goes meow, meow, and you interpret it? And she said, absolutely not. She said, we feel the energy. This is how you do animal readings. Now, I had never read an animal before. I've always got insights like, I didn't necessarily know what I believed about animal communication back then. Okay. So this is like, what is that? Is that 30 years ago? Yeah, that was 30 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, she goes, this is real. And he wanted to let you know that he loves you and just want to make sure. And we help him, meaning she and the other beings, will help interpret that information just like I would when I read an animal. I'm helping interpret, right? Okay. And I was like, the implications for that are so huge. That day, that changed me. I mean, I've been changed many times through the board. That made me go, well, let me talk to my other cat. I had another cat there.
Mhm.
And then Bill William, his name was, started talking to me all the time. And then every cat I've had since then, 1, 2, 3, 4 more cats since then, they all talk to me through the Ouija board. And then, of course, Jack wrote a book. So it just goes on and on. It's just amazing. But the Ouija board can be used, as I mentioned earlier, to talk to your higher self.
Yeah.
And if that's all you want to do, you don't want to go beyond that, why not? That's good. You're going to bring out the best part of yourself that's empowered.
That's
and bring
right.
that part into your life. Give yourself great wisdom and guidance that's already within you.
How you talked about animals and the dog instantly had to climb into my lap.
Oh, babies. Hi, baby. Yeah,
Like, oh, there's no way effect.
I was doing a show once. I was doing a live Ouija board session with my partner. This might have been 10 years ago. And I had two cats. It was Jack and Panzer. Jack's the one who wrote the book, and his half brother Panzer is a solid black cat. They're both now in transit. They're transitioned into the other life form. I was doing the session, and this guy asked a question. We would just do these open questions, and we don't know what they're going to ask. And this guy was asking about a book he was writing about some historical figure, and it was really cool. And he's like, what do the guides think about that? So the guides are coming in, and all of a sudden the planchet changed and goes, hey, tell them I'm an author too. I'm writing a book. And the host goes, well, who's this? I go, who is this? It's spelled Jack. Jack, right then on the video, Jack had walked through. This is crazy. When Jack's book came out, I had to put this on it's on my YouTube channel that showed the segment when Jack walked through, interrupted the session, and said, tell them I'm an author. I'm writing a book too, and it's going to be out soon. And I'm like, the host of the show goes, who's Jack? and my partner goes, well, they believe what you were saying until now, Jack. And I go, well, he's my very much alive cat that just walked through the room, and he wants to tell you he's an author. And people are like, they weren't used to hearing that you can use the Ouija board to talk to your pets. So the best thing you can do with the Ouija board is learn just to channel what feels good, bright, and alive, that brings you joy to your life, happiness, love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I feel like when you tell people that you like communicate to animals, they like dismiss it. And I feel like animals are just as important as human spirits. So,
and they have souls.
They do.
Yeah, they have souls.
They are so healing and loving.
They are a master. Look at that baby. They are a master teacher.
Say hi. And that's BC.
You want to get what? I gotta get my cat. Hold on a second. Yeah. I don't know if she wants to do it, but here she. This is BB.
Oh, I have a cat that looks just like her name, Millie.
Yeah.
She's just 3 years. She's a 3-year-old baby. She's spoken to me on the board before. But she says, she says to me, she goes, that's kind of silly. I don't need a board to talk to you. I said, you're right. Smart cat.
Yeah, I have 3 cats. I have Maxine, and then I have Miss Luna, who's a little bit feisty.
Miss Luna, I love that.
And she has attitude, and she's not afraid to show it. And then I have Maxie, who's sweet, but doesn't want to be held. So I respect that. And Maxine loves to be held on your shoulder, carried everywhere.
She wants to go up.
Yeah.
Millie and Maxine likes to give you kisses.
Yeah.
They always
Luna
want
will
to
give me kisses when she wants to. She decides I have to respect her boundaries, or she lets me know.
Yeah.
I used to say I rescued my cats because I had a lot of cats that were abused. The reality was they rescued me. They taught me so much in my life. Yeah, and Jack's story, his book gets into that. At the very end, we talk about that. They are our master teachers. There's so much we can learn from these animals. They're just like having another loved one. They are a loved one or another human being. They are a being that has a lot to say. They're just
like
incredible.
I feel like with animals, like their intuition is so strong. I feel like sometimes even stronger than us because they can read you just like that. They know what kind of love to give you, what you need at that time. If they just need to lay next to you, like your face and everything.
And
people go, cats, well, they're so independent. I go, no, you haven't been around cats long enough. They do their own thing. But these guys, that's a girl and a boy. I have a bear, my big white cat's in the other room. They're right. They will communicate to me and know what I'm feeling too. It's just so symbiotic.
Yeah.
Develop that relationship, right? Isn't this cool how a Ouija board conversation becomes all this, let's show our pets to each other?
Yeah, really.
When I talk about the animals, everybody wants to do that. I mean, and usually BB sits behind me right here. Usually she'll come on a show and sit behind me, but they're just right here. He's like 10 feet away. She's like 2 feet away. They're right here. They want to be a part of this.
I love that you rescued your animals as well. I did all mine as well. I got my cats. I had to bottle feed them every 2 hours because they were just dumped in a box full of food. And I'm like, well, I'll clean them and take care of them. And I've been taking care of them since they've been 2 weeks old.
And what a gift they've been, right? What a gift.
Yeah, I love them. And it's my cat Maxine is such a healing property for my son because he has fading spells that turn into seizures. Oh. And ever since we got that cat, it's been so healing for him, and everything has lessened, and he's doing amazing. So
that's incredible.
Animal. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, they're starting. I saw this. The police out here are starting to use cats. They're training them to sniff out some things, like like dogs do, like drugs or bombs, or they're starting to train them and starting to employ them. And I thought that's really amazing.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
They say cats are so easy to train. And I've learned if you do what they do best, they are easy. I have cats that like to play fetch because they taught me they like to play fetch. So then I embellish it. I play with that a little bit more, They have certain traits they can do. And so like she can talk. There's a few things she does. She'll talk a lot. And I just know that. So now I can talk to her and she'll talk right back. It's just adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Maxine communicates to my son, and my son and her are so in sync with each other. I love it.
Yeah. When we have storms, because we have tornadoes a lot in the Midwest.
That cat has to be in the basement with us.
We have to gather all the cats, the 3 cats, the 2 dogs, the kids, and everybody down the basement.
Of course, that's your family.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Miss Luna, she just sits up there.
She's like, just leave me.
Just leave me alone. I'll come down.
She doesn't come down? Oh, that's funny. Well, she is the moon. Miss Luna's the
moon.
Yeah. She's like, I do what I want. Okay. Yeah. Just don't look at me right now.
Well, I think she actually does magic to make everything just go to the left or the right of us, I mean, because she just sits there in the window and she goes, you guys okay? You guys okay? Go down the basement. I'll take care of this.
Like she,
yeah.
Oh, wow. She's the patrol master. I had one cat, black cat, Panzer, who was the patrol master. He made sure that place, I've never seen a cat like this. I've had mostly old male cats. BB's my first girl cat. And he has been just incredible. He just cased that house. Anything in the backyard, he let me know, like a watchdog. He let me know. It was just crazy. They all have their roles, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you don't own a cat; they own you.
Yeah,
that's true.
Luna.
That's true.
She owns me. I don't own her. She lets me know for sure every morning.
I'm hungry.
So I ask you ladies now: are any of you going to use the Ouija board to talk to your animals?
I might.
Absolutely.
Give it a shot. I'm telling you, they come through like 2-year-olds in a way. They'll say they have more communication than that because they get help, but it's like they will blurt anything out. They'll blurt it out. Like I have in this book some of the conversations between 2 of my cats, Jack and Panzer, and you could hear some of the stuff they would say. I wrote it in here because it was just hysterical. And one of them was cussing. One was cussing. I go, "Why do you cuss?" Because I learned it from my mom. I'm like, busted. It was so funny. I had to put it in the book.
That's hilarious. Well, as kids do pick up what their parents say.
There are kids.
And they are our children. So, I mean, that goes without saying that, of course, they're going to repeat what they heard from their parent.
I was like, where'd you get that language from? My mom, she's the best. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, do I put that in the book? I'm like, heck yeah, I do, because that's honesty. That's what I'm saying. They have it's like talking to a child. They just so honest.
Filtered.
Yeah, no filter. There you go. It's with least amount of filters.
Right.
Exactly. They're my little fur babies.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Karen. It's been on a blast. I mean,
it really has, and it's really interesting to find like other people that you resonate with, because it's hard to find that.
Yeah, this has been a fun time, you guys. I knew we'd have fun. I already knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did John tell you that? Oh, Barry.
Well, he said it. I could tell he enjoyed it, but I'm just saying I already knew from you guys, just from our correspondence, and we got on here together earlier. I got, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? I go, well, everything under the sun. I told you. And others, we just scratched the surface of my Ouija work, by the way.
Yeah,
There's
that's
so much
great.
more. But
Well,
this
if you
was
ever
fun.
want to come back on, you're more than welcome.
I was
I
just going
would
to say that.
love that.
Yeah.
It's been a
Maybe we
joy.
can get Jonathan from the Salem Ouija.
That would be
Oh,
really
you know what?
And you can
Would
meet
you like a few of us on the talking board? We can get a few more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Three or
go
four
for
of us
it.
to come on the show. We've done shows before where all of us get together and talk.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. That'd be
I
exciting.
know John would be down for it. I'm sure Rick, our VP, would be down for it. Bob, he has a lot of issues physically. And then probably Calvin Von Crush would probably be cool with that too.
Yeah, I would love
6 of
that.
us. I think we could probably get anywhere three to five probably of us.
That would
I
be
can contact
fabulous.
John tonight and says, "Hey, buddy, we
Yeah.
got something for you."
Yeah, tell him we spoke about it. We do this all the time. So
Just tell him we volunteered him.
okay, yeah, tell him that.
We usually do, actually.
We
so-
volunteered you, so you have to be on the show.
Yeah, let's just say we already decided we're gonna have the TBHS people on there.
That's right.
Tell him Karen called it. He'll be cool with that.
That's right. Yeah. Karen told us. It's all Karen.
It's
Well,
my fault.
Actually, Stitz and I, we do this all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
People come on and we just all of a sudden think of something else and we're like, hey, come
That
on
would
for
be really
this
cool.
and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we get our ideas for our theme, kind of our themed
Oh, that's
podcast that
great.
we do. Kind of like we're doing the UK one on May 20th with UK people. But yeah, so that's how we come up with our little ideas.
The TBHS would be fun. I'll tell you why, because we can get really into the history even more so. And we have people that we can talk more about the collection, more about how the things change. We can show boards.
Yeah.
We have to talk more about spirit communication. There's so many angles we do. We all have a different angle we bring to, that's where we're all directors. We have a different angle for the board. Mine's really about using it and that history of that. So we definitely, we would cover all axes.
We didn't get into, there's a lot of things that we did not get into, which is okay.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's so much more.
Yeah. So it would also be interesting to kind of like show off how someone would do the board,
Like a live demonstration.
Yeah, kind of like a live
I think that possibly Rick and his wife might do it. They have a hearse that has a giant Ouija board that pulls out.
Oh
And
my
they
God.
and they sit out and use. Oh, have you seen it before?
I have not seen it, but
No.
that
Okay, well,
is-
he's the guy behind the giant Ouija board in the Salem Commons. He's the guy that created it and painted it. He's the artist.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, we've seen the board.
Yeah,
He's our VP, but he has a hearse. You
Yeah.
pull out this giant table, which is a giant Ouija board, and they sit there and use it. Wouldn't you like to see that? We
Yes.
would love to show it to you guys. Trust me.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
it
would love that.
would.
These guys are incredible. They're incredible, talented artists, incredible collectors, very interesting people. Like I said, we all have a different angle to it.
Mhm. I think that would be really cool. It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Let's have a date.
And you should also interview Rick Schreck by himself as well. Talk about the world's largest Ouija board. I mean, he's an amazing artist, an amazing collector, like I said.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love that. I think it's
And we all know each other. I mean, we all work together. We do these events together.
yeah, that would be really cool.
Well, we definitely talk to you in a couple of days and set something up.
We'll contact you within a week and let
That's
you know.
fine. That'd be great. I'd be glad to put the word out to everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That'd
I
be-
signed you guys up for another. No, we do this all the time. It's no big deal.
I love it. You know,
we love educating the public about Ouija board, the positive aspects to Ouija board, and why we love them.
I think that's important because everybody's so scared.
Yeah.
There's so
I
much
know.
fear.
And I've never been afraid. I don't understand. I understand people's fears,
Yeah.
but I didn't understand the fear about the board because I like I said, I've been doing it forever. It's been just fantastic. It's been wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, I bet your audience had no idea we're going to traverse this much of topics today.
Well,
Did you guys think that?
I think our audience knows this by now because we don't really edit too much unless we have to.
We rather it to be authentic and real.
Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of life, you know?
Yeah, that
And
is
This
life.
is real. It's real talking to real people who are doing this work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know,
And we all make mistakes. We're
and
not
you know,
perfect.
as RH people, we have to stick
Oh.
together. Okay.
That's right. Hell yeah, girl.
But we have to go now, unfortunately.
Listen, it's been a great time. Thank
Yeah.
you.
It
So
has
it's been wonderful. Even if I was late to the podcast, I'm so glad I've met you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you joined in. I'm like, where are the rest of your people? Yay.
Well, I just want to say, subscribe, everybody, like, share, go to Karen's website, look her up on YouTube, get her books, and get those questions ready for the next time, because there will be a next time. Until next time, many blessings. Love and light, everybody.